Sophia Hamilton had just proven herself at London Fashion Week, yet Oliver Grayson, with his icy blue eyes and commanding presence, seemed more interested in undermining her talent than celebrating her success. As tension built between them, a chance encounter with her past threatened to unravel everything she had worked for. But when the truth about her hidden strength and determination emerged, it would leave everyone, including Oliver, questioning their assumptions. Stay tuned to witness how she rises above the doubt and claims her place in the fashion world. Sophia Hamilton was not the type of woman to be easily knocked down by anything, be it tense meetings, pointed critiques from fashion critics, or even a breakup. At 28, she had built a solid reputation in Manchester with her groundbreaking designs, having won the Outstanding Young Designer Award at the British Fashion Awards just 2 years prior. Sharp, confident, and always in control. That was the Sophia everyone knew. But this morning, as she opened her eyes in an unfamiliar, luxurious room, all that confidence evaporated like mist in the morning sun. Her head throbbed, each pulse in her temples a painful reminder of last night's strong drinks. She frowned, trying to piece together what had happened, but her memories were nothing more than fragmented blurs. A bar in Soho, loud music, flashing lights, and a few men snickering beside her. Sitting up abruptly, she instinctively pulled the blanket to her chest and then panicked when she realized she was wearing nothing but an oversized white men's shirt. The high-quality cotton felt soft against her skin, but that did little to ease her shock. "God, Sophia, what did you do?" she muttered, her trembling hands pushing her hair back. She looked around, trying to regain her bearings. The room was spacious and modern, adorned with minimalist yet expensive furnishings, glossy black leather chairs, a clear glass table, and an abstract painting on the wall with bold blue streaks resembling ocean waves. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the Thames sparkling under the faint morning light, with Tower Bridge standing tall in the distance, partially shrouded in fog. This was not her small apartment in Camden, where she had recently moved after breaking up with Lucas, her ex who had betrayed her after 4 years together. She had chosen London to start over, to forget his lies. But now, where was she? Sophia climbed out of bed, tugging the shirt down to cover her legs, and stepped barefoot onto the cold wooden floor. She searched for her clothes, flipping the blankets and pillows, but found nothing except her favorite tight black dress crumpled in a nearby trash can. The stench of alcohol mixed with something worse hit her, making her grimace and cover her nose. Did I throw up on myself? She wondered, a wave of shame crashing over her like a tide. But a bigger, scarier question crept into her mind. Who had changed her into this shirt, and what had happened last night? Thank you for following this heartfelt story from the Soul Stories channel. Share your thoughts about the story in the comments below if you believe that true love can withstand all trials and sometimes begins in the simplest of ways. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this story with your friends to never miss out on touching and meaningful stories. Subscribe to our channel and help us spread messages of love and warmth to everyone. Let's cherish the beautiful moments of life and love together. She walked to the window, gazing down at the slow-moving Thames, trying to sort through her memories. Last night had been her first Friday in London, after a busy week of settling into her new apartment, preparing for her job at Grayson and Company. She had decided to unwind at the Velvet Room in Soho, a chic bar with plush red interiors and dim lighting. She remembered ordering a martini, then a second, and then a third, as sadness over Lucas welled up inside her. She wasn't one to drink heavily, but last night she just wanted to erase the look in his eyes when he admitted he had slept with someone else. "I'm worth more than that," she had mumbled to her glass, but after that, everything faded. She turned back to the bed, sitting down and cradling her head in her hands. The last image she recalled was of a middle-aged man with slicked back hair, grinning sleazily and putting a hand on her shoulder. She had shoved him away, but then what? Someone had stepped in, hadn't they? A deep, cold voice echoed faintly in her hazy memory. Take your hands off her. But she wasn't sure if it had been real or just her imagination. Before she could dig deeper into her recollection, the door swung open. Sophia startled, yanking the blanket up to cover herself reflexively. A man stepped in, tall, with sleek black hair combed back and icy blue eyes cutting through the room. He was dressed in a crisp black suit and held a steaming coffee mug, looking at her with a calmness that was almost unnerving. His face was chiseled, handsome in a cold, commanding way, but that only heightened her panic. "Who are you? Where am I?" she yelled, her hands shaking as she accidentally knocked the bedside lamp off the table. It crashed to the floor with a loud smash, shattering into pieces. Sophia blushed, cursing herself inwardly. Why in front of this guy? She pulled the blanket tighter, trying to salvage what little dignity she had left, though her current state offered little room for it. The man smirked, not quite a smile, more like a mix of mockery and curiosity. "I'm Oliver Grayson, and this is my place. You're heavy, you know." He stepped forward, setting the coffee mug on the glass table, his blue eyes scanning her as if she were an item on display. He was unhurried, unruffled, exuding a confidence that made Sophia feel both annoyed and embarrassed. She blinked, processing his words. "Your place? Wait, did anything happen between us last night?" Her voice rose with panic, fingers clutching the hem of his shirt. A flood of worst-case scenarios raced through her mind. She had gotten drunk, he had taken advantage of her, and now she was in an irredeemable mess. But she was Sophia Hamilton. She didn't let herself fall into situations like this, did she? She was always in control, from the stitches on her designs to every detail of her life. Oliver tilted his head, watching her with rare amusement. "You threw up all over me," he said, his tone flat, as if stating an obvious fact. "And on your clothes, too. I had to change you because I couldn't let you lie in that mess." He paused, smirking again. "But don't worry, I'm not the type to take advantage of a drunk woman." He picked up a shard of the broken lamp, placing it back on the table as if it were no big deal. Sophia's face burned, humiliation hitting her like a splash of boiling water. You changed me," she stammered, picturing him stripping her down while she was out cold. She wanted to disappear. "You mean you saw everything?" She tugged the shirt lower, though she knew it was pointless. He shrugged, his expression still blank. "I tried not to look too much, but honestly, you're heavier than I expected. Getting you onto the bed wasn't easy." He walked to a nearby sofa, sat down, crossed his legs, and kept watching her like she was the morning's entertainment. Her jaw dropped, torn between anger and mortification. "Heavier than you expected? Did you just call me heavy?" She jumped up, forgetting her attire, then quickly sat back down as the shirt rode up her thighs. "I'm not heavy. I do yoga 3 times a week. I was just a little drunk." She waved her hands in defense, realizing the more she talked, the deeper she sank into awkwardness. "Sure," Oliver replied, a hint of sarcasm in his voice. "But last night, you were more like a sack of drunk potatoes than a yoga practitioner." He sipped his coffee, his blue eyes glinting with rare humor, though his face stayed icy. Sophia took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. She was a talented designer, not some bumbling character in a cheap comedy. She needed to know what had happened to regain control. "All right, Mr. Grayson," she said, striving for a professional tone despite her racing heart. "Thank you for helping me, but can you tell me exactly what happened?" "I don't remember anything." Oliver set his mug down, recounting the events with little enthusiasm. "Last night, I was at the Velvet Room for a client meeting. I was sitting in a corner near the bar when I saw you. You were alone, obviously way past your limit, practically falling off your stool. Then a few guys started crowding around you, one with greasy hair, 2 others in cheap suits. They were laughing, trying to touch you, clearly up to no good. You shoved one away, but you were too drunk to fend for yourself." Sophia listened, a mix of gratitude and shame washing over her. She vaguely recalled the greasy-haired guy, his cheap cologne still lingering in her memory. "And then?" she asked, her voice softening. "I stepped in," Oliver continued, his tone steady. "I told them to get lost, and they didn't argue, maybe because I don't look very friendly. You were nearly passed out by then, mumbling something about not being worth it. I asked for your address, but you just laughed and said London's so pretty. I had no choice but to bring you here." She winced, feeling more embarrassed than ever. "And then I threw up on you?" she asked, already knowing the answer. He nodded, smirking. "Yep, my favorite Armani jacket, a bespoke piece from Milan. You puked on it before I could react, then you collapsed on the sofa, and your dress didn't escape either." I had to change you because leaving you in that mess would have been awful. She covered her face with both hands, groaning. I'm so sorry. I never drink like that. I just gone through a breakup, and I wanted to forget. She looked up at him, her voice sincere. Thank you for saving me. I don't know how to repay you. He shrugged, his demeanor casual. No need to repay me. I don't like seeing people get harassed, that's all. He stood, walked to a wardrobe in the corner, and pulled out an outfit, a sleek gray dress and a fur-lined coat from a high-end label. Here, put these on and go. I don't want uninvited guests staying too long. Sophia took the clothes, her hand slipping, causing the coat to fall to the floor. She bent down awkwardly to pick it up, hearing Oliver comment, You really have a talent for dropping things. Side gig? His tone wasn't quite teasing, but it was enough to make her laugh, albeit stiffly. Very funny, she retorted, clinging to her last shred of pride. She headed to the bathroom, changing as fast as she could. The dress fit perfectly, as if it had been tailored for her, and the coat was so warm she wanted to keep it forever. When she stepped out, Oliver was standing by the window, gazing at the river. She cleared her throat. Thanks again, Mr. Grayson. I'll get out of here. He turned, handing her a pristine white business card with Oliver Grayson in gold lettering. If you drop anything else, call me to pick it up, he said, smirking, his first real smile. She took it, nodding. I'll try not to bother you again. She left the penthouse, stepping into the elevator with a jumbled mind. A light drizzle fell outside, and London's chilly air filled her lungs as she exited. She hailed a taxi and slid into the back seat, staring at the card in her hand. Oliver Grayson, a name she wouldn't easily forget. Yet she just wanted to erase last night from her mind. Back at her Camden apartment, she flopped onto the sofa, telling herself to let it go and focus on her new job at Grayson & Company starting tomorrow. But as she closed her eyes, Oliver's image, those blue eyes, that smirk, that cold, deep voice kept resurfacing. Little did she know, he was her boss, and her life was about to turn upside down in ways she couldn't imagine. Sophia Hamilton stood in front of the mirror in her small Camden apartment, giving her appearance a final check. The navy dress hugged her slim figure, accentuating her graceful frame, paired with glossy black high heels and her light brown curls neatly tied up in a high ponytail. She was not the type to let herself look sloppy, especially not on her first day at Grayson & Company, one of London's most prestigious fashion conglomerates. After the chaos of waking up in Oliver Grayson's penthouse yesterday morning, Sophia had vowed to regain her composure. Today's a fresh start, she muttered, grabbing her purse and heading out the door. The tube took her to central London, where the Grayson & Company building loomed large amid the financial district, its gleaming glass panels reflecting the rare winter sunlight. She took a deep breath, straightened her posture, and stepped through the revolving glass doors with the confidence of someone who had won major industry awards. Inside, the open space was vast, with white walls adorned with art and employees bustling about in stylish outfits. Sophia smiled. This was where she belonged. She was directed to the 15th floor, where the main meeting room was located. Today was the introduction for the new design team, and Sophia had prepared meticulously for her presentation. She had brought a bold idea, a collection blending classic British style with modern flair, targeting the booming international market. If it succeeded, it would be her foothold to establish herself in London, leaving behind the pain of Lucas and her past in Manchester. As she entered the meeting room, she nodded to a few new colleagues, set her laptop and stack of documents on the table, and took her seat. The atmosphere was tense yet electric. Grayson & Company was vying for a major contract with a luxury brand from Paris, and all eyes were on the design team. Sophia reviewed her presentation slides, reminding herself to stay calm and perform at her best. Then the meeting room door opened, and a man stepped in, tall, with black hair swept back, his sharp blue eyes scanning the room. He was dressed in a deep gray suit, exuding an aura of authority and cool detachment. Sophia was adjusting her papers when she looked up and froze. Oliver Grayson, the man who had saved her from the bar, changed her clothes while she was drunk and remarked that she was heavier than he thought. He's the CEO of Grayson & Company, she thought, struggling to keep her face neutral. Oliver strode to the head of the table, his deep voice resonating. Hello, everyone. I'm Oliver Grayson, and today I want to hear ideas from the new team. We've got a big contract to win. Let's get started. He sat down, crossing his legs, his gaze briefly sweeping over Sophia and lingering for a second. A faint smirk flickered across his lips, as if he recognized her, but had no intention of saying anything. Sophia swallowed hard, her hand tightening around her pen. She told herself to stay professional. This was work, not his penthouse. She couldn't let yesterday ruin her first impression with her boss, even if that boss was the one who had seen her at her absolute worst. When it was her turn, she stood, cleared her throat, and began her presentation. Hello, everyone. I'm Sophia Hamilton, she said, her voice clear and confident. My idea is a collection called London Reborn, blending traditional materials like tweed with modern tailoring techniques in bold colors. It's a bridge between British heritage and the global market, targeting younger clients while retaining luxury appeal. She opened her slides, detailing everything from sketches to color palettes and marketing plans. The room fell silent, a few colleagues nodding in approval as she pointed to the screen, explaining how traditional plaid patterns could be used in unconventional evening gowns. She shifted to market analysis, highlighting rising trends in Asia and the U.S. Oliver listened, his hand propped under his chin, his blue eyes fixed on her. He showed no emotion, but inside, a strange feeling stirred. Sophia wasn't the drunk girl from last night. She was sharp, intelligent, and her idea was genuinely impressive. He had met plenty of talented designers, but few caught his attention this quickly. He told himself it was just professional admiration, nothing more. Yet the way she spoke, the way she presented with confidence and a touch of authenticity, kept his gaze locked on her. When it was time for questions, Sophia picked up her pen to jot down feedback from colleagues. She turned to the whiteboard, about to write something when Oliver spoke. Miss Hamilton, do you think this collection could be completed in 3 months? His voice was icy, but his eyes held a hint of curiosity. She turned back, replying confidently, Absolutely, Mr. Grayson. With the right team, I can speed up the timeline without compromising quality. I once finished a similar project in 2 months in Manchester, and the results exceeded expectations. Just then, her hand slipped, and the pen dropped to the floor, rolling straight to Oliver's feet. The room went quiet, a few soft chuckles breaking the silence. Sophia blushed, cursing herself inwardly. Why in front of him again? She thought. She bent to pick it up, but Oliver beat her to it. He leaned down, retrieved the pen, and handed it back with that familiar smirk. You really have a knack for dropping things, he said, his voice low enough for only her to hear. She took it, her hand trembling slightly, muttering, thanks, before returning to the board, pretending nothing happened. More questions followed, from fabric choices to pricing strategies. A colleague asked, what do you think about adding accessories to the collection? Sophia smiled. That's a great idea. I suggest minimalist jewelry made from recycled silver to emphasize sustainability, a big trend right now. Oliver nodded slightly, jotting something in his notebook but saying nothing more. When Sophia sat down, her heart pounded from both the pressure and his stare. After the meeting, her idea was chosen as the centerpiece for the Paris contract bid. She earned praise from colleagues and a rare nod from Oliver. Well done, Miss Hamilton, he said before leaving, though his gaze lingered on her longer than usual. Sophia exhaled, feeling a mix of pride and unease. She had proven herself, so why did she feel flustered whenever Oliver was around? A week later, the good news arrived. Grayson and Company won the contract worth millions of pounds, thanks to Sophia's London Reborn concept. She became the talk of the company, with colleagues crowding around to congratulate her. But during lunch, as she sat alone in the break room with a cup of tea, Oliver appeared. He stood at the door, watching her for a moment before walking over. You did better than I expected, he said, his voice still cool but carrying a rare warmth. Sophia looked up, smiling faintly. Thank you, Mr. Grayson. I was just doing my job, he smirked. And dropping your stuff too, right? Sophia laughed, feeling at ease with him for the first time. Maybe I should focus more when you're around, she replied, a touch of sarcasm in her tone. Oliver didn't respond. He just nodded and walked away. But inside, a thought crossed his mind. She was not just talented, she was more intriguing than he had realized. Sophia returned to the design room, resuming her sketches for the next project. She was determined to cement her place at Grayson and Company, refusing to let anyone, especially Oliver Grayson, distract her. But when she glanced up and caught him standing on the upper floor, looking down through the glass at her, she couldn't stop her heart from skipping a beat. Sophia Hamilton stepped into the Grayson and Company office with renewed determination. After the success of the Paris contract, she had solidified her place on the design team. However, the shadow of Oliver Grayson, her cold boss and reluctant rescuer, still made her uneasy. It wasn't because he was unprofessional or unpleasant. Rather, every time he was near, she turned into the clumsiest version of herself. Dropping a pen in the meeting room had been bad enough, and she didn't want to repeat that. Staying away from him was the best option, she told herself as she adjusted the stack of sketches in her hands and headed into the design room. The design room was Sophia's paradise. Tables strewn with fabrics, color swatches, and drafts. The faint smell of glue and coffee lingering in the air, accompanied by the steady hum of sewing machines. She sat at her desk, opened her laptop, and dove into the next project, a collection for London Fashion Week, the biggest event of the year for Grayson and Company. This was her chance to bring London Reborns to the runway for real, turning her idea into reality. She buried herself in work, sketching tweed coats with asymmetrical cuts and pairing them with deep red and emerald green hues, classic yet daring. But her focus didn't last long. Late that morning, she heard a murmur from a group of colleagues near the door. Sophia looked up, and her heart skipped a beat as Oliver walked into the design room. He was wearing a white shirt with rolled-up sleeves, no jacket, looking more relaxed than usual but still radiating cool authority. He held a stack of papers, his blue eyes sweeping the room before landing on her. Sophia quickly ducked her head, pretending to focus on her sketch, silently praying he wouldn't come closer. Unfortunately for her, Oliver had other plans. He walked straight to her desk. "Miss Hamilton, I need your advice on something," he said, his deep voice cutting through the air. Sophia looked up, trying to keep her face calm. "Yes, Mr. Grayson, what is it?" she asked, gripping her pencil tightly, determined not to drop anything this time. "I've got an event tonight," he said, setting the papers on her desk. "I need an opinion on what to wear." "You're a designer, right?" Sophia blinked, unsure if he was serious or teasing her. "You're the CEO of a fashion conglomerate. Can't you pick something yourself?" Oliver smirked. "I want input from the person who just won me the Paris contract." Sophia wanted to say no, but his gaze left her no room to refuse. "Fine," she sighed, standing up and following him out of the design room. On the way, she kept her distance, walking briskly to avoid any awkward moments. When they reached his office upstairs, he opened a wardrobe filled with pricey suits and shirts and turned to her. "What should I wear to a charity gala?" Sophia stepped forward, examining each piece before picking a deep blue suit with a white shirt. "This," she said, handing it to him. "The blue complements your skin, and the cut is formal without being too stiff." Oliver nodded, inspecting the suit. "You've got a good eye," he said, his voice carrying a hint of approval. Sophia smiled, but as she turned to grab her purse from the desk, her hand brushed against a stack of sketches he had left there. The whole pile tumbled to the floor, scattering everywhere. She blushed, dropping to pick them up. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Oliver bent down as well, gathering a few sheets, and when they both looked up, their faces were just inches apart. Sophia froze, her heart pounding. Oliver stared at her, then let out a small, rare laugh, enough to catch her off guard. "You really can't be near me without dropping something," he said, handing her the sketches. Sophia laughed too, feeling at ease with him for the first time. "Maybe I should stay farther away from you," she replied, her tone laced with sarcasm. But avoiding Oliver proved impossible. 2 days later, while Sophia was checking fabrics in the company's storage room, a large bouquet arrived, white roses and carnations with a card that read, "Thanks for the advice." "Oh gee," she read aloud, muttering, "Is he kidding?" Colleagues nearby teased her. "Looks like the big boss has his eye on you, Sophia." She shook her head, trying to play it cool, but inside, she felt flustered. Why did he keep popping up in her life like this? That weekend, during a team meeting to plan for London Fashion Week, Oliver casually stopped by. He stood at the door, listening as she assigned tasks. We need the prototypes done in 2 weeks. I want each person to focus on one part. Coats, dresses, accessories. This is our chance to make Grayson and Company stand out. Oliver nodded, interjecting. I agree, but I want Miss Hamilton to oversee everything. Sophia turned, surprised. Me? He shrugged. You did well with the Paris deal. I trust you. She nodded, but as he stepped closer to look at the sketches on the table, his shoulder brushed against hers. Sophia flinched, and her hand slipped, causing the entire stack of drawings to fall to the floor again. The rustle of paper filled the air, and she wanted to disappear. Oliver looked at her, smirking again. Maybe I should stand farther away to protect my paperwork. They both laughed, and for the first time, Sophia felt he was more than just a cold CEO. As London Fashion Week approached, Sophia led the team with remarkable professionalism. She worked late, checking every stitch, selecting fabrics, and tweaking designs to ensure perfection. She wanted London Reborn to be more than beautiful. It should tell a story of renewal, of London, and of herself. Oliver stopped by often, sometimes bringing coffee for the group, but his eyes lingered on Sophia a little longer each time. He didn't admit it, but her dedication and talent impressed him. The night before the event, Sophia did a final check on the designs in the fitting room. Oliver appeared, hands in his pockets, watching her adjust a dress on a mannequin. Don't you ever rest? He asked. Sophia turned to him. Not until it's done. What about you? Don't CEOs need sleep? He smirked. I want to see what you do with this opportunity. She smiled. Then you won't be disappointed. London Fashion Week took place in a grand hall at Somerset House. The stage lights blazed, and the audience was packed with Vogue editors and international investors. When the models stepped out in Sophia's designs, the room erupted in applause. Tweed coats with asymmetrical cuts, stunning deep red gowns, and delicate silver accessories all blended into a perfect narrative. Thunderous applause greeted Sophia as she took her bow, spotting Oliver in the front row, nodding with a rare smile. After the show, Grayson and Company became the center of attention, with articles hailing London Reborn as the season's highlight. Sophia received countless collaboration offers, but as she stood alone backstage, Oliver approached her. You did it, he said, his voice low but warm. Sophia smiled. We did it, Mr. Grayson. He smirked. Call me Oliver, and next time, don't drop your sketches when I'm around, okay? She laughed. No promises. They stood there amid the backstage buzz, a strange feeling creeping between them. Not friendship, not quite work, but something deeper, though neither was ready to admit it yet. Sophia Hamilton sat in the Grayson and Company design room, her fingers brushing lightly over a pearl-colored silk fabric. The success of London Fashion Week still felt like a refreshing breeze in her mind, but the relentless pressure of the fashion industry gave her no time to rest. A new collection was already in the works, bigger and more ambitious, aimed at the rapidly growing Asian market. She called it Eastern Echoes, blending the elegance of the East with London's sharp style. This was a chance for Grayson and Company to reach further, and Sophia knew she had to pour her heart into it. As she looked up, a soft knock sounded at the door. Oliver Grayson stepped in, holding a coffee cup. His sharp blue eyes were cool, but carried a rare hint of warmth. He was wearing a fitted black shirt, no suit jacket, looking more relaxed than usual. I brought you coffee, he said, placing the cup on her desk. Sophia smiled, taking the coffee. Thanks, Oliver. She was still not used to calling him by his first name, but after the success of Fashion Week, the boundaries between them seemed to have blurred a little. How's Eastern Echo coming along? He asked, sitting in the chair across from her. His gaze drifted over the stack of sketches on the table. Sophia slid a draft toward him. I'm experimenting with modernized artists, combining silk and hand-embroidered patterns. It'll be the collection's highlight. Oliver nodded, examining the sketch with focus. I like this idea, but you need to speed things up. We've got a meeting with Japanese partners in 3 weeks. Sophia nodded, her heart racing. I'll make it happen. They continued discussing everything from fabric choices to color coordination. Oliver wasn't just a CEO. He had an incredible eye for aesthetics, and his suggestions always helped Sophia refine her concepts. She was starting to see that he wasn't as cold as he appeared. He cared in a subtle but sincere way. As he stood to leave, he turned back, his expression serious. Don't work too late. You need rest. Sophia smiled lightly. You too, Oliver. But her peace didn't last long. 2 days later, while Sophia was having lunch at a cafe near the office, a familiar voice called from behind her. She turned, and her heart seemed to stop. Lucas Carter, her ex-boyfriend, stood there, blonde hair, brown eyes full of regret, wearing a long coat and looking more rugged than the last time they had met in Manchester. Lucas, Sophia said, setting her fork down, her voice stiffening. He stepped forward, sitting across from her without asking. I came to London for work, but I also wanted to see you. I regret what I did, Sophia. What I did was wrong. I want you back. Sophia blinked, unable to believe her ears. 4 years together, promises made, then betrayal. It all flooded back like a wave. She had once loved Lucas deeply, dreamed of a future with him, but now, as he sat in front of her, she felt only a strange emptiness. Are you serious? She asked, her tone edged with sarcasm. After everything, you think I'd come back just because you say you're sorry? Lucas grabbed her hand on the table, his eyes pleading. I know I don't deserve it, but you're the best thing that ever happened to me. I was an idiot to lose you. Give me a chance, please. Sophia pulled her hand back, standing up. I need time to think. She left the cafe, her mind a mess, unsure of what she was feeling, anger, heartache, or just confusion. Back at the office, Sophia tried to focus on her work, but Lucas's face kept surfacing. She wondered if she still had feelings for him, or if it was just lingering attachment from the past. Oliver noticed something was off when he stopped by the design room later that day. You okay? He asked, standing by her desk. Sophia nodded, but her hand trembled, dropping her pencil to the floor. Oliver picked it up, handing it back to her. Again, she forced a smile. I'm fine, really. But she wasn't fine. Lucas texted her nonstop in the days that followed, begging to meet, sending flowers, recounting old memories. Sophia felt confused, unsure of what to do. She didn't want him back, but his reappearance made her question her emotions and her feelings for Oliver. As Sophia and Oliver grew closer through work, he stayed late with her often, checking fabric samples, discussing ideas, and sometimes bringing late-night snacks. One evening, as they sat in the design room with pizza and coffee, Oliver asked, What do you like about this job? Sophia thought for a moment. The freedom to create. You? He looked at her, his voice sincere. Making something memorable, like you. The distance between them shrank, not just through words, but through small actions. Oliver grew more proactive. One day, he invited her to dinner to discuss the project. They went to a small restaurant in Covent Garden, soft yellow lights glowing on his face. What do you think about adding kimonos to the collection? He asked, sipping wine. Sophia nodded, smiling. Good idea. I'll try pairing them with silk dresses. The conversation shifted from work to personal stories. He talked about his childhood in London, and she shared her design dreams from youth. As they left, he offered her his coat against the chill. Don't make me change your clothes again, he teased. Sophia laughed. I'm not drunk this time. But when Lucas showed up at the company entrance a few days later, things became complicated. He stood there holding a huge bouquet, shouting, Sophia, I love you. I won't give up. Sophia froze, colleagues whispering around her. Oliver, stepping out of the elevator, saw it all but said nothing. He just turned away. A flicker of worry crossed his eyes, but Sophia didn't catch it. From then on, Oliver changed. He became anxious, though he hid it well. He visited the design room more, working with her on Eastern Echo with unprecedented focus. One night, as they stayed late, he brought a box of sushi and sat beside her. You're overworking, he said, sliding the food over. Sophia smiled. So are you. He looked at her, his voice lowering. I don't want you burning out before the collection's done. It matters to both of us. They worked together for 2 weeks, from selecting embroidered silk to testing kimonos on mannequins. Oliver didn't just oversee. He rolled up his sleeves, helping her cut fabric, even suggesting delicate cherry blossom motifs. Their synergy grew undeniable, and Sophia started feeling something deeper, not just professional respect, but something more. But Lucas wouldn't let go. He called, showed up at the office, once waiting at the gate where Oliver happened to see him. The night before the Eastern Echo launch at a Grand Mayfair Hall, Sophia and Oliver did a final check on the collection. It was flawless. Shimmering silk, owl dye, modern kimono dress hybrids, exquisite pearl accessories. Oliver stood beside her, eyeing the designs. "You've done the impossible," he said. Sophia smiled. "We did it." He turned to her, his gaze serious. "Sophia, He hesitated, trailing off as her phone rang. It was Lucas again. The launch was spectacular. Eastern Echoes took the industry by storm, with articles calling it the year's most groundbreaking collection. Grayson and Company secured orders from Japan, Korea, and China, elevating the company to new heights. Sophia stood on stage, soaking in the applause, but her heart felt heavy. Lucas was still out there somewhere, and Oliver, who had just helped her achieve this miracle, seemed distant. After the event, Oliver found her backstage. "Congratulations," he said, his voice slightly strained. Sophia looked at him. "Thank you, Oliver. I couldn't have done it without you." He nodded, then asked, "That guy, who is he?" Sophia sighed. "My ex. He wants me back, but I haven't decided." Oliver fell silent, a flash of pain crossing his eyes, but he only said, "You deserve the best." He walked away, leaving Sophia with an empty feeling. She stood there amid the dazzling lights, wondering what her heart truly wanted, the past with Lucas or the present with Oliver. Sophia Hamilton stood backstage at the Eastern Echo launch, clutching a cold glass of water as her gaze drifted over the thinning crowd. The applause from the audience still echoed faintly, but her mind was elsewhere. The collection, hand-embroidered silk, dye modern kimono dress hybrids, and exquisite pearl accessories, had elevated Grayson and Company to new heights. Yet now she felt only a strange void. Lucas Carter, her ex, had reappeared like an uninvited gust of wind, while Oliver Grayson, the cold man who had increasingly claimed a corner of her heart, was nowhere to be found. After Oliver had left backstage with his parting words, "You deserve the best," Sophia hadn't seen him for the rest of the evening. He had vanished into the sea of guests, leaving her with a barrage of unanswered questions. What did he mean by asking about Lucas in that low, melancholic tone? Did he actually care, or was it just a CEO's courtesy to an employee? Returning to the design room at midnight, she sat alone among silk fabrics and sketches, trying to find clarity in her tangled feelings. Lucas wanted her back, but she wasn't sure if she still loved him. Meanwhile, Oliver had been so supportive, and she couldn't ignore the connection that had grown between them. Sophia picked up a pencil to sketch a few lines on a new draft, a coat inspired by London rain, with asymmetrical cuts mimicking falling drops, but her hand trembled, and she dropped the pencil to the floor. Sighing, she picked it up. "I can't keep going like this," she thought. She needed to confront both Lucas and Oliver, even if it meant shattering the fragile balance she had been clinging to. The next day, Sophia received a text from Lucas. "Meet me at the cafe near the office at 6 p.m. Please, I need to talk one last time." She stared at her phone, her finger hovering over the delete button, but ultimately she agreed. She couldn't avoid him forever. She needed to close that chapter to move forward, though she was still unsure where that path would lead. Dressing carefully, she put on a long gray coat, grabbed an umbrella, and stepped out of Grayson and Company as a light drizzle began to fall. The cold, persistent London rain was something she had grown accustomed to over the past few months. The small cafe sat on a street corner, its yellow lights spilling onto the wet pavement. Lucas was already there when she walked in, looking the same as she remembered. Messy blonde hair, brown eyes brimming with regret, but rougher around the edges than the last time they met. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice shaky as he gestured for her to sit. Sophia took a deep breath, keeping her distance, her hands gripping the table's edge. Go ahead, Lucas. I'm listening. He took a deep breath, his hands clasped as if to steady himself. I know I don't deserve you after what I did, but Sophia, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I was an idiot to lose you, and now I just want to make it right. I love you and I want you back. Sophia blinked, unable to process his words. For years together, promises made, then betrayal. Memories flooded back like a wave. She had once loved Lucas deeply, dreamed of a future with him, but now, as he sat across from her, she felt only a strange emptiness. Are you serious? She asked, her tone edged with disbelief. After everything, you think I'd come back just because you say you're sorry? Lucas reached across the table, grabbing her hand, his eyes pleading. I know I don't deserve it, but I'll do anything to prove I've changed. Just give me a chance. Sophia pulled her hand back, standing up. I need time to think. She turned and left the cafe, stepping into the street as the rain began to pour. She opened her umbrella, but her mind was elsewhere. Telling Lucas she couldn't return had crystallized the truth as clear as the streetlights piercing the downpour. She loved Oliver, not Lucas, not the past. Just then, as Sophia exited the cafe, she spotted Oliver driving by. Through the fogged-up window, he saw her with Lucas holding her hand, pleading, while Sophia stood there as if weighing her choice. Oliver gripped the steering wheel, misreading the scene as her choosing her ex. He floored the gas, speeding off through the rain, his chest heavy with emotions he had never acknowledged. Sophia didn't see Oliver for 3 days. He stopped coming to the design room, skipped meetings, and sent only curt, detached emails. Miss Hamilton, update me on Eastern Echo's progress when you can. She sensed the shift, but couldn't understand why. Colleagues noticed too. One asked, what's up with the boss? Sophia forced a smile, her heart a tangled mess. On the 4th day, news arrived. Grayson & Company was nominated for Collection of the Year at the British Fashion Awards for Eastern Echo. It was a huge opportunity, and Sophia knew she needed Oliver by her side to prepare. But more than that, she needed to clear things up with him. She couldn't let a misunderstanding ruin what they had built. Leaving the office at 8 p.m., she braved the heavy rain, grabbing her umbrella and pulling up her coat's hood. She headed straight to Oliver's penthouse in Mayfair, the place where she had once woken up in his shirt after that fateful night. Rain lashed at her face, the wind howling as she reached the building. Her hand slipped, the umbrella dropped, rolling away in the runoff, but she didn't retrieve it. Instead, she pressed the buzzer, her breath rapid and her hair plastered wet to her face. When Oliver opened the door, he looked surprised. Sophia, what are you doing out here in this rain? She stepped inside, rainwater dripping from her coat onto the polished wood floor. I need to talk to you, she said, her voice firm despite her shivering. Oliver crossed his arms, his tone cold. About what? You and your ex? I saw you with him. Sophia gaped. You saw me with Lucas. That's why you've been avoiding me? He nodded, his eyes darkening. I didn't want to interfere if you chose him. Be happy. He turned away, but Sophia shouted, drowning out the roaring rain outside. You're such an idiot. I didn't choose Lucas. She lunged forward, grabbing his arm to pull him back, but the wet floor betrayed her. She slipped, crashing into him, nearly knocking them both down. Oliver caught her, chuckling despite himself. Are you trying to wreck my house? Sophia blushed, righting herself but still holding his arm. Listen to me. I turned Lucas down. I met him to close that door, not reopen it. Oliver frowned. Then why was he holding your hand? I saw it. Because he wouldn't let go. But I don't love him anymore. He stood still, his breathing heavy. Sophia pressed on, her voice trembling. I don't know when it started, but you mean more to me than anyone. I came here and dropped my umbrella to tell you that. You don't get to misunderstand and avoid me like this. She gripped his hand tighter, her eyes unwavering despite her wet hair sticking comically to her face. Oliver stared at her, then laughed, a big, easy laugh, the first she had ever heard from him. You look like a drenched cat and still act this fierce, he said, pulling her into his arms. I thought I'd lost you. Seeing you with him, I couldn't take it. Sophia leaned into his chest, laughing through tears and rage. Then why didn't you ask me, you fool? Because I was scared you'd say, yeah, I picked him. I'm not good at this stuff, he replied, leaning down to kiss her forehead before softly pressing his lips to hers. It was a gentle yet intense kiss, as if they had both been waiting for this moment forever. Sophia kissed back, her arms wrapping around his neck, feeling his warmth against the cold rain. When they pulled apart, Oliver looked at her. You're soaked. Need my shirt again? Sophia laughed. Just this once, but don't call me heavy. He led her inside, handing her a dry white shirt. They settled by the fireplace, joking as if the misunderstanding had never happened. After that night, Sophia and Oliver grew closer than ever. They prepared together for the British Fashion Awards, where Eastern Echoes was nominated. Sophia led the team in refining the collection, adding new pieces like the London raincoat she had sketched that night to wow the judges. Oliver backed her up, choosing fabrics and contacting sponsors, dropping the cold facade. He held her hand during late nights, teasing, "Don't drop the fabric, I can't pick up that much." The awards night unfolded at Royal Albert Hall, and when Eastern Echoes by Grayson and Company was named Collection of the Year, the room erupted in applause. Sophia and Oliver stepped onto the stage to accept the gold trophy, and she looked at him, smiling. We did it again. He held her hand under the lights. Because of you. After the ceremony, they stood on a balcony, gazing at London's glowing skyline. I'm not great with romantic words, Oliver said, meeting her eyes. But I love you, Sophia. She leaned into his shoulder. I love you too, Oliver. They stood there, knowing that from now on, they would face everything together. Not just in fashion, but in their hearts.